Here. Councilman Sedekase.
Here.
Councilwoman Mazer.
Here.
Council President Cook.
Here.
Mary Chamberlain is attending another function. She will be here momentarily.
Rise for the salute to the flag, and please remain standing after the salute till this is a 6-month anniversary of the World Trade Center, of all the people that lost their lives, and the people that are fighting for this country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all council members by police messenger on March 9th, 2002, and to all legal newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975. I'd like to have a motion to open the meeting to the public on the budget and the regular.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is open to the public. With discussion on the budget and or whatever. Jack?
Whatever sounds good.
Budget first. Budget first.
Nope. Alright.
I don't think you can do that.
Do the budget first? Jack, we're gonna do the budget first, I'm sorry.
Strictly budget.
Any questions on the budget?
Motion to close. Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to have a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead, Jack. You could have stayed there.
You want to see me get exercise, no?
Yeah, I wanna see you beat me out, Jack.
Oh. My question revolves around the construction of Route 80. When I attended the caucus meeting the other night, I think Mr. Leco made reference to the fact that Route 80 was trying to close Mayhill Street, number one. And number two, how much longer do you think? I wasn't clear on the date or the time with regards to how much longer they were going to be tying up Saddle River Road.
The Route 80 project with Saddle River Road will be completed by June. The tie-ups that are taking place currently is putting the steel on Route 80 for the extra lane. Once that's completed, should back to relative normalcy with traffic going in both directions. Mayhill Street, as of Monday, we asked the DOT not to close it. That was the request of the mayor and council. They're working with the Board of Education to close pedestrian traffic only from June 20th when school gets out through September 5th when school reopens.
Right.
If it goes beyond September 5th with pedestrian traffic being closed, they will shuttle the students from one end of the bridge to the high school. They will make those arrangements and pay for it.
All right, so there's a possibility that that walkway will be closed when
The
school
walkway
starts.
will be closed at least during the summer, possibly extending into September.
But not Mayhill Street.
Mayhill Street will be open for both directions of traffic.
My concern is that the town, as we all know, is split by major railroad tracks. And you only have Saddle River Road, you only have Mayhill Street, and you only have Midland Avenue, which is a very busy street. My concern would be for services and emergency vehicles.
Mr. Chairman, let's advise the gentleman that our Assemblywoman, Rose Heck, assured us that it would not be. We were here at a public meeting with the Department of Transportation, and she scolded them like little children, because that's exactly what she did. She said, that will not be closed under any circumstances. Do you agree, gentlemen? And they all nodded their heads like the kindergarten and said yes. So I have to take Rose's word that she will fight for us. That will not be shut. The case is closed as far as I'm concerned. I don't believe any member of the council will give special resolution to authorize that to be open, so I don't believe that will ever happen. But while you're talking about this, I think we should go on record, well, maybe as soon as you sit down, that we asked the attorney to send a letter to the Department of Transportation pertaining to that street, that we were advised by some lady that they negotiated in good faith with Riverside Cemetery. That street that I'm talking about is by the diner. They put a pier right in the middle of it.
Yes.
I think if you need a resolution, Mr. Attorney, we'll have a resolution that we get a search on that property, because the Bergen County Authority now is going to fix Market Street, and we're going to have to provide right away.
That's correct, and it would, that right-of-way would necessarily have to impact upon that piece of property.
That's right, and as long as they took that street, they can't take that pier out of the street, so they should compensate us, and that compensation, I believe, Jack, would take care of all the compensation that we gotta pay the people for widening that street. So I don't know if we can do that now, or when we come
With
back.
your express authorization, I don't think we neither need a resolution nor a motion. But if you direct me in my capacity as the township attorney to undertake a title search, I will do so.
Well, I don't do it during the public portion, but I think you all should consider that, because that lady was here and she said, I'll get back to you. Nothing ever got back, and I don't think they will ever get back. And I don't know who can prove it except people that lived in this town over 75 years, and I'm not that old. That road was always there. So forget it, I'm sorry, Jack, go ahead.
All right,
Also,
second.
just to further answer your question,
Sure.
that's the state project. The county project, which is the traffic light, Railroad Avenue and Saddle River Road,
Right, that
will
was my next question.
begin the end of March and probably will continue to June, which will necessitate some closing of the street. We don't have a schedule yet. But the traffic light is going to be installed.
That's gotta be done.
All right, so we're going to have a few projects going on.
Yes.
At a given time, and with congestion, we have to be careful as to not have a problem, I assume,
Correct.
for emergency vehicles and such.
The
Get
police
through.
and fire department are notified
The reason I
as
say that
they
is all the
find out
emergency
from the
vehicles seem to be
contractor.
on this side of town, and I happen to live on the other side of town. And I have always been concerned about getting through in any kind of a situation to help out our side. And I don't like to divide the town in half, but, you know, the other side of town is.
But you're absolutely right, because when the train comes, it does divide the town in half. And you had good concern last year, I think you brought it up a year ago, 2 years ago, with regard to the ambulance corps
Right.
being stationed on one side of the town in addition to where it's stationed at now,
Yeah.
just in the event that there's a problem. So you raise a
Yeah,
good point.
That's true. When I had a meeting, thanks to the mayor, she set it up between me and the ambulance corps, and we sort of like got off on a nice even keel of how they would handle it and what would be happening and so forth and so on. I know they have a plan intact, so I'm not too concerned, but if we're gonna have all of this work going on, whether it be county or state, you're not gonna have all of this accessibility at a given time on some of these roads. Saddle River Road, for instance, was closed the other night when I came to the caucus meeting for the ramp to 80. And if you remember, the court stenographer that was here had to find another route to get onto 80 and so forth and so on. So in that respect, I mean, the people that don't live in town are gonna have a problem, but the people that live in town should be aware of what streets are gonna be open, what streets are gonna be closed. And the walkway on Mayhill is very important, Pete, you know that. So
Yes.
you, John, and everybody on the council for passageway for getting in through the middle of town for the residents, so. And the second part of another question that I have revolves around the fact, as all of you know, I sit on the zoning board, Board of Adjustment. And I asked many times in the past, and I've asked again, we've had some instances where we've had some, let's say, businesses in town claim right-of-way on public streets. Are we setting some sort of a written, or has it been addressed fully to the extent that the town owns the public streets and not the residents or the businesses? Are we still in limbo? I'm asking you if you could get the attorney to look into that and make sure that it's clarified and set.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. You said that before, and I said you're 100% right. We have some people sitting here that do nothing, or don't want to do nothing. Well, we lose a lot of streets. We'll start with Jefferson Street. Jefferson Street is in the 2nd District, right up Route 46. We have an apartment house that's using it as a parking lot. We had a former township attorney under a former mayor who gave us a 1-paragraph letter saying that that is our street, and he sent a letter to the people so that 20-year right-of-way that you use it for 20 years is yours. So I don't believe we're gonna lose that one. You said on the zoning board pertaining to Lanza Avenue.
Yes.
And Lanza Avenue, we had, I don't know if it was, the engineer went down to survey it to see where that street is. And I believe we have a voucher, I'm saying, please, I don't know which one I'm talking about, but we did get leaps and bounds of that street, so that street, as far as I'm concerned, is ours. However, I would like to say that we are probably laxed because a junkyard is using that street to put stuff on that street that shouldn't be there, and our property maintenance officer, and I spoke to him about that, should go down and write a summons every day he sees it. I don't enforce it, I don't know whether he does it or does not. Then we have Van Bosom, which is our street, which is used as a dump house. we had to pay to clean that street, but that street is ours. Madeline Avenue, what Verizon wanted, now you don't even see the street because it's completely demolished, but we're on record, at least this entire council, by saying that we're gonna allow them to widen the street to 50 foot rather than 30, put curbs and sidewalks on all sides, which would be the right side, the left side, and the front, which would now put sidewalks on Lanza Avenue. We also, at a few meetings back, said, well, we gave note that the CO should not be issued, or permit should not be issued until the sidewalks and curbs are put in simultaneously. Now, I don't know, I haven't seen correspondence to that point that it's been done, but this was brought up. If any council member disputes that, please say so. But as far as I'm concerned, that was definitely put in, and that street should be ours. But whether it's ours or not remains to be seen. I think it's Amorosa's office that was defending that, and what's happening from that, I have no idea. But you're 100% right on that, and I'll back you to the hilt on anything that you and the zoning board want to do to confirm that that street is ours. I know it's ours. I don't know what's happening though, and I'm not, maybe the attorney can go further.
Well, let me at the outset save you the time and expense of a legal opinion and a survey, and give you this opinion right here and now. The dedicated public streets of this township belong to the township, period. Easements by prescription, which is that 21-year open and notorious use of property, does not apply to the use of municipal streets. The only way that you can divest yourself of the public interest in the municipal roadway is by vacating that street. Now, having said that, with regard to the status of the initiative that my predecessor continues to handle, unfortunately, I cannot at this time give you a precise update as to where they are. Certainly, we're aware of what the terms of the agreement with Verizon are, and they are to be abided. I also see that no action has been taken.
So as far as I'm concerned, that street is ours, we are working on it. And the biggest thing is the one here on Market Street. You see that pier is right in the road. That's another street that just came and gone. And I don't want to blame anybody, it's there. And everybody assumes somebody had the right to do that. As far as I'm concerned, that street is Saddle Brooks. I lived here long enough to know that's been a street. But I can't, in my mind, think of when I paved it. So I can't say that we paved it yesterday, 10 years ago, or 30 years ago. But I can also say the same thing, that I don't remember any private industry or private concern coming in there and paving that street either. So my word on one side is just as good on the other side.
But my concern was with Lanza. That was my main concern, as we are concerned with all the streets, because of what was going on, like you said, with Verizon over there. Okay?
Yeah, well, Verizon, I know that the street is obliterated completely. I'm hoping the DPW has been there so our infrastructure is not damaged. Again, I can't say if they haven't, but I assume they have.
I would like the engineer to check and see, because John was here, and I think we might have surveyed that street.
I know we did.
So they should have the records on that.
Well, our concern is, and I know Jack is concerned, is that we better make sure that curbs and sidewalks are put in simultaneously or stop the job. Now, I don't know who stops the job. I can't stop it, but somebody better stop it, because if it's not, Kurt Joe was gonna say that's his street, and they're gonna continue on operating there, and nobody's gonna stop it. If a curb and sidewalk is there, that shows proof positive. But it's up to us as a whole, not me, not you. It's up as a whole, as our official family, to get their families moving down there while it's still hot and move on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have, let's see, ordinance 1250-02, second reading.
A bond ordinance to authorize the 2002 Drainage Improvement Program in by and for the Township of Saddlebrook in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $100,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Motion.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have to open this to the public. Make a motion to open it to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Anybody wishing to speak on this ordinance?
Jack Altinus, 126 Cambridge Terrace. I sat at the caucus meeting on this ordinance, the first reading, and if it would not be an inconvenience, or if it would only take a short amount of time, maybe yourself or the attorney could explain that this is not money that we're borrowing, that is money, I believe, according to what I heard at the caucus meeting, that would be an estimated cost, and it would not be something that the town people should automatically think, hey, we're borrowing $100,000. In other words, I'm looking for a minor explanation so we all understand what this actually is about, number one. And number two, if someone could please, maybe the engineer, give us an idea of what this is for, in what areas.
Well, wait a minute, first of all, it's $100,000, we intend to spend $100,000.
You do intend to spend
Oh,
it.
sure, it might even be more,
Well, the
depending.
way I heard it at the caucus, there was a possibility it wouldn't go that high, that's why.
It's possible, but when you advertise for bids, you have the scope of the project which you advertised. That scope would say we're doing something. When we find out that it might cost us $20,000 more because the street is caving in or something, it has to be provided for that. That's why it's estimated at $100,000, and we
Excuse
don't.
me, Mr. Kugler, the possibility, though, is that you may not use all of the $100,000.
No, but as a general rule, anytime you go into drainage, you'll use the $100,000 because you can extend that. When this bid is going to be there, there's probably going to be alternates on there. And $100,000 doesn't go too far because this says $100,000. You have a contingency plan to pay for professionals, attorney fees, legal fees, engineering fees, inspection fees. So it's very well that it could exceed this. So please, I don't want to mislead the public that it's not $100,000. In my opinion, it will be $100,000. It could be 97.5, or it could be 110, depending upon the scope of the project when we find out. And we can always amend it. If there's anything left over, you're still bonding the $100,000 and then it's unfunded. That's all that is.
What I remember from the caucus meeting, there was a number of areas and streets that fall under this proposal. Is there a possibility that maybe the engineer could give us a rough idea
The engineer?
of what
Eddie?
areas we're talking about, so the residents know what streets are involved?
Right now, I think we're focusing on 3 projects. One is a repair at Bell Avenue. The second would be a repair at Oxford and Alberta. And the third is an initial preliminary drainage study on Shepherd's Avenue. The first 2 projects are responding to actual construction issues at those locations where they need to be repaired right now. The Shepherd's Avenue study is more geared at information collection because that seems to be where there's a long-standing, larger problem. And based on that study, we'll be coming back with recommendations on how to rectify the situation over there. There were other streets mentioned in the bond ordinance as potential locations, which we'll be looking into and then giving proposals to the council, and they'll prioritize the projects.
Excuse me, Ed, that Bell Avenue location, what's the approximate start time for the construction there?
The lighting's been ordered. The construction should be done within a week.
Within a week of tonight? Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Motion closed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that the ordinance entitled, "A Bond Ordinance to Authorize the 2002 Drainage Improvement Program in, by, and for the Township of Saddlebrook in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $100,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds, is now passed on second and final reading, and that the Township Clerk be directed to advertise said ordinance or title thereof in the press, together with the notice of the date of passage of said ordinance according to law."
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
John, I have to introduce another budget. Does anybody?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
want to see for-
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Good night.
Good night,
Not
Paul.
here. No, nobody wants to see me.
No.
No, the only thing I want to do is what I discussed with you and caucus, please, and what I'm going to do for the general public to understand is here. This township has gone, for the past few years for bonding, and we are anticipating so much to be paid every year. What I need from you is a timetable for the year 2003, 2004, and 2005 of approximately what the charges or what the bill will be for Saddlebrook for the payment of these bonds. I would also like, if you can, it's only hypothetical, for each additional $500,000 of bonding, what that might do to us in those same years. And when I'm saying this is because of the potential building of a possible police department, possibly acquiring a fire engine and so forth, which is not part of the bonding now, but will be in the near future. What is the impact so these people can have it? And I don't want it today, but if you can have it prepared for us for the next work session so we can put it on the agenda to discuss it.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Hey, Pete, I signed this.
Thanks.
Okay. All yours.
All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the Township Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or members so request it, in which case the item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. The one motion signifies adoption of all resolutions, receive and file letters, correspondence, reports, and approval of applications and minutes.
Mr. Chairman, point of order before this is introduced, please. I'd like if possible, we put down that we've authorized the township engineer, not engineer, I'm sorry, the township attorney.
I practice engineering.
Yeah, and you don't charge when you do that, right?
No, and I know that the township engineers practice law many years.
Worksheet is in order.
I'm concerned with
They
that.
may charge though.
I'm concerned with that street, and if we don't move on it, we will do something with Department of Transportation. So the attorney has advised me that he's going to, but it wants to advise, why don't you just...
I will proceed and order the necessary title searches to make a determination as to the ownership of the street itself. When the bill comes in for the title work, 2 or 3 months from now, I'll just include it on one of my invoices as an expense.
Is that acceptable to the majority?
That's acceptable.
All right, then
Everybody?
Then I'll...
With, for the record, no markup.
Then I'll introduce that.
Is everybody in favor of it?
Yes.
And resolution number 4 will be voted on separately.
Okay. Do we have a motion on the bills and,
We have a motion on the consent agenda.
go ahead and, all in favor of the consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 4. The bills. Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, that the proper warrants be drawn and that the attached bills, with the exception of those bills not approved by a majority of the council, be paid totaling $10,110,999.53, providing funds are available and all bills submitted comply with NJSA 48:11-1 and any other appropriate statutes.
Make a motion?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Are we almost done?
Anybody have anything to discuss?
Yeah, I have 2 things. One thing, we have a letter, and I don't want to mention any names because he's not advised that I'm speaking on his behalf. We have a letter from a retired police officer asking for certain consideration. Nothing was discussed at the work session. I'd like to put it on the agenda for next work session, and I'm going to recommend that we approve his request. However, there's 4 or 5 people that might be here that are not familiar with the situation. Is my request that either you contact him personally or you through John and ask him if he wants to come in at a work session so he can review it to you, because it's not fair for you to vote on something you don't know. I was here, so I will vote on it. All right. The remainder of you people, I think you should discuss it and do whatever you have to, whether he's present or not, I don't care. Maybe Pete's probably aware of it. You can speak with him and so forth.
Mr. Chair? I'm sorry, go ahead.
And my second request is going to be directed to Boswell Engineering. My request to him has nothing to do, so everybody understands, it's nothing to do with the litigation that's pending between OBOL. So it is not a conflict of interest. I'm talking about our infrastructure. I am going to request from you, if you can, to give me some type of a synopsis of what I can do pertaining to changing from Passaic Valley Sewer Authority to the Bergen County Sewer Authority, if it's possible, number 1, and what would have to be done in order to facilitate this. And this question is asked only because my contract will be expiring next year with Lodi, and I want to have an option, because It's not going to be an easy contract with Lodi. It's just saying I'm gonna pay them X amount of dollars. It may be considerable bonding for certain improvements of that infrastructure in Lodi.
And from what I've heard, there are a lot of X's
I-
on their minds.
Please, so this is very important because it's a major, and all of you people should understand, it's a major, major undertaking.
Don't mention undertaking.
Yes, I have to, because it's all over the newspaper about people being cremated and you're getting your ass back at cinders or something. Not so, not in Jersey. However, this is very, very serious. And I asked that bonding question for him to see what it's gonna happen, because you're talking, and please, I don't wanna say this because people say it's scary. It could be $2 to $3 million that you're talking about. Either way, so watch what we're doing, watch what we're saying. We better have an option and not wait until the last minute. The donkey's out of the barn and all of a sudden we're trying to put the elephant back in. So,
And Mr. Council President, while we're on that topic, and I think it's a very timely topic to raise, Councilman, you're asking the engineer to do an infrastructure and flow assessment on that issue?
no, all I wanna know is, and please, this is very vague. First of all, can I do it? Yes or no? If I can't do it, then the options are blown out of proportion. And it shouldn't even be brought up. However, in my opinion, it can be done. How it can be done, I'm not an engineer, that's up to them. But first of all, I want to know if it can be done. If it can be done, then we'll get into an in-depth study, is what do you think the cost is going to be for this? But first of all, I want to know, if I can, what do I have to do to ask Bergen County Sewer Authority to accept us? I understand my contract is up with Lodi very shortly.
The contract that you have with PVSC does not state a term of years.
Right.
It almost presumes, similar to any contract that BCUA has with its constituent municipalities, they presume that they're going to operate in perpetuity. Now, it does not prevent you from leaving the system.
Yeah, no, that's not my problem. My problem is, once I agree with Lodi, I got a 50-year agreement with Lodi that's going to expire very shortly.
At the end of the
And
year.
if I agree with another 50 years, then no matter where I want to go,
You're
I gotta
tied
go
into
to
them.
Lodi.
You're tied into them. I think the core question is, how do we tie into BCUA? Is it feasible to tie into BCUA?
If I may, there's a couple of different questions. Is it feasible to tie into BCUA? How would the connection be done? Does BCUA have the plant capacity to treat that? And let us not forget, legislatively and legally, what steps have to happen. And to that last point, we'd be happy to address all of those comments, but we'd also request that we can work with Mr. Scriviero to address the legal ramifications
Yeah,
of
yes,
the
please.
processes that have to occur.
The only reason I'm saying is, I can't wait until they knock on my door and say, okay, you give me this or out you go. I can't go no place else. I have to do this. We have time. Time is on our side right now. If I have to have special legislation, that's what we have our assemblymen for and senators for. I don't know where we're going with this here, but you have to advise me and he has to tell me whether I can or can't.
Sure, I'll get together with the attorney and we can come back to you and lay out the procedure for you and lay out the, what we can assign cost to at this juncture.
Fine, I'm not looking for cost because I know it's gonna be major, but I wanna, once we get to find out whether we can do it, the council's hearing this for the first time. So they may say, hey, shut your mouth, it's all over, we're not doing it, and that's it.
Point of fact that the processing rates that may be charged by BCUA may indeed be more competitive than what you're currently being charged by PVSC.
That's part of my problem, but my biggest problem is, we all know that we had a major break in the Saddle River not even a year ago. And that break cost us anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 split by two different communities. I understand that that pipe is exposed all along the river or in several parts of the river, which might, we may have to encase it. I have no idea what I'm saying. This is what I visited the site, I've seen the pipes, they are exposed with the erosion of the river going in and out. I don't know what's actually happening to it. And if I have to pass a bond ordinance to fix that in conjunction with another town, it's benefiting us because it's our line here, but once we get there, it's his line. You know, so please, I'm not denying that we can't do this or we're not gonna do this with them, but I wanna have an option open with me that At least I know what I'm talking about when it comes forward.
Hey, Scott?
Yes, sir.
Just from what I'm hearing for the first time, I couldn't see any legal ramifications that we would face. Or legislatively, I couldn't see us having a problem if we wanted to switch from Lodi to another town, right?
Well,
I mean,
you're talking,
Well, it's really not a question of switching from Lodi to another town. Your core arrangement is with PVSC. Your flow goes through Lodi, eventually to PVSC, at which point you pay PVSC for the processing of the sewage generated in the township. You have a legal binding contract with PVSC. The core question is, can the contract be terminated?
and
I don't know if you were aware or not, but before I was here as your counsel, I served as counsel to BCUA for
I
some
know.
15 years.
I was there when you were there.
I remember you being there. I remember the mayor being there.
Oh, yeah.
But he's saying, how much do we pay Sag Valley? You think they're gonna say, well, don't worry about Saddlebrook, they only paid $2,000 to us? We pay them a lot of money, a lot of money,
I
and
can
they're
tell
gonna,
you this.
it's just like Board of Education wants kids from one school to another school, and then when you wanna change, they say no, because there's money in somebody's pocket. No, I think let's get on the board, let's do what we can do, and then come up with something that's, and it's very, very touchy, and we gotta really be unified on this, because if it's 3-2 or 2-2-1 abstention, we got a situation here, it's very, very serious, so.
BCUA just recently went through a plant capacity expansion.
Yes, they
So
did.
I believe that they're up beyond the 104 million gallon per day previous limitation.
That's true, they did, but also to, in response to Councilman Sedecase's comment, there's something called a water quality management plan. And what that says is that there's a sewer service area for the PVSC treatment facility. And essentially, we are within the boundary, as it currently exists, to send our sanitary flow to the PVSC. If you're looking at changing that, then you're looking at modifying your existing water quality management plan, and it does require an act of the legislature.
Yeah, that's correct. That's a
And
trend.
so there is a process, and it's a non-insignificant step. It has to be addressed. So I
Is there
wanna
any question
outline
that we fall exclusively within PVSC's jurisdiction? Because there is, in certain limited areas, some overlap.
Well, that's why I need to check. I don't know the answer to that. because
And I
for-
don't, as I said,
long as-
either.
Yeah, as long as, for the last 50 years, Saddlebrook has gone into the PVSC via Lodi.
Well, you have to remember, before the 50 years, we were strictly, I don't wanna say a cesspool town, but we had septic tanks and outhouses,
Before the
and
sewers.
that was it. And my side of town was the only town that tied into, and we were into the Sag Valley through Garfield. So, and I was here when the sewers, not were started with the first time, but by the completion. And it was only because of convenience that they went into Sag Valley.
Would you like,
I'm done.
Would you like us also to look at other potential routes to go to Passaic
Well,
Valley?
my route would be going through Rochelle Park if possible, going into their system, if Ware can handle it, and then right out.
But I'm saying not just BCUA, would you like us to also look at other alternate routes to go possibly to PVSC and look at other scenarios?
Yes, because it makes no difference how and which you go, but my main pump is going down Westminster to Outwater Lane.
Right.
So I'd have to pick it up from there, and for me to reverse it and go back up to Garfield and the other side. But if it's feasible, and you're more engineering, you can tell me what I gotta do, you know?
Well, there is something new that exists now that didn't exist
50 years ago.
15 years ago, and that's a big pipe coming out of Gordon State Paper.
I'm with you, boy. You do what you gotta do, and I'm with you. That they lost a lot of money out of state when they
They go
went
right
out.
across the river.
I buy that, I accept that, but now's the time to talk about it and do it. We have to put all our heads together and move. And as the biggest engineer in the county, I'm sure you have a lot of insight.
Well, I don't think we want to go through what we went through 2 years ago with that pipe cracking and finally breaking.
Yeah, but that's only 100,000 now. If we have to encase the entire length, you're talking $2 million, in my opinion.
That's right.
$1 million today is nothing.
Because I don't know how old that pipe is, but that's got to be,
50 years. It's all, everything is new. Everything was put in with this, or 50 years.
so it behooves us to go ahead with that.
Am I to understand that we are so authorized to proceed in that matter?
Yes. Did you want to say anything?
No, I said enough.
Motion to close?
Yeah, motion to close, second?
Motion.
Mr. Lodico, do you feel that we need a roll call vote to memorialize that, or?
You
It's in
can
the
do it.
minutes. I have a report.
All right.
Yeah?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
against?
Yeah, but let's memorialize this. This is gonna be 3-4, accept this. This is a serious, serious situation. Please, it's nothing, it's not before you. No one knows about it, but it's coming, and if you're not prepared for it, it's gonna be very dangerous. So regardless of what this is information better than a study of something that we don't need. This is actually something that we're gonna use within the next 9 months.
Karen, I turn it over to you.
2-minute break.
I take a
Just a
2-minute break.
5-minute break.
Take a 5-minute break.
Motion to close?
Yeah, we did that already.
Oh.
And you were in favor.
I do. You know.
5-minute break. Being late this evening, but I was at Franklin School PTA Founders Day meeting, and the children there were having a talent show. And many of those children are part of the Spirit Leader program, so I had spoken with Ian Marie, the director and commissioner of cheerleaders, in our April 11th meeting. We will have the missing Spirit cheerleaders return so that they can have and be honored here at the next meeting. And tonight, other than the excitement of the Spirit cheerleaders, we have Ladies in History Month. It's always been traditionally in the month of March. And that's the time where people come forward with letters to the mayor about who they feel should be recognized. And this year I found it very unusual. And I'm really proud of it, and it gave me a thought for a new idea. This year, we had 2 husbands send letters in about their wives. And I believe that's the first time we've ever had that happen. So I think that's really wonderful, and to those wives, congratulations. And maybe we should have Men in History Month, so the wives can send it back. We have some wives saying no. Don't want to boost up the ego anymore, right? Well, generally the format I've been following as we recognize these very special people to the community of Saddlebrook is I always ask that the person who sent the letter in, who nominated, would step forward to read them. So I do have the letters here this evening, and I will be calling up as our first Marion Pelisi. Please step forward. And Lucy DeBona. Marion sent a lovely letter in, and Lucy is our outstanding woman.
The Saddlebrook Ladies of Unico would like to nominate Lucy DeBono as a candidate for Women in History Month. Lucy resides at Saddle River Road in Saddlebrook. Lucy has 2 children. Her daughter Kathy lives in Saddlebrook with her 4 children, all of whom attend Saddlebrook schools. Her son Ralph lives in Hawthorne and has 2 children. Lucy is a devoted mother and grandmother. Her family is her main priority. She babysits for her grandchildren when they come out of school because her daughter works. She will cook dinner for them, help them with their homework, and she even goes on field trips. She attends her grandson's wrestling matches, and she is his biggest fan and supporter. Ever since Lucy has been a member of the Ladies of Unico, she has been a dedicated, hard-working, and loyal Unican. At present, Lucy is vice president. In the past, she has been recording secretary and treasurer. Lucy is always volunteering to chair our many fundraising events, and when she isn't a chairperson, she is still volunteering her time and talents to be on other committees. She is always ready and willing to do whatever it takes to make our fundraisers successful. She writes all the press releases that appear in the Shopper News and the Record, and she does this without being asked to. She wants to let everyone know what Unico is all about and what we are involved in. Lucy has been on the town's Community Projects and Activities Committee for the past 2 years. She has helped with the decorations, games, and food for the Easter egg hunt, for the Halloween party, and for the Christmas party. When the castle for the Christmas party was being built, Lucy was right in there, painting and sanding. She is always at the town picnic, serving cake and coffee, making popcorn, doing spin art with the children.
Sounds like a lot. She really does.
No wonder you don't call me anymore.
When the Saddlebrook television station came into existence, Lucy was one of the first volunteers to offer her time and services. Lucy has volunteered her time for several years to St. Philip's Church for their annual summer festival. You can always find Lucy in the food booth, selling and serving food and telling jokes to the other volunteers to make their job a little easier. Lucy is a very good and loyal friend. She always has a shoulder for you to lean on. If you need someone to talk to, call Lucy and she will always be there for you. Lucy has a terrific sense of humor. She is always ready with a joke, song, or poem. She has a special knack for making people laugh. She can be very entertaining at our meetings and dinners. She was a receptionist in a nursing home, and she was a warm and compassionate person with the residents. She always had a kind word or a joke or a song to help make their days a little more pleasant. Lucy worked for Prudential Insurance Company for a number of years. The chairman of Prudential appointed her as president of their Power Club. Her job entailed being in charge of all the charity work that Prudential was involved in. i.e. working with the mentally and physically disadvantaged, having parties and outings for orphans, hospital patients, and for residents in nursing homes. Her job was getting the employees of Prudential involved in these activities, and no one can say no to Lucy. She did an excellent job and was commended by the president of Prudential for doing such a fantastic job. This is Lucy, a warm and loving mother and grandmother, a true friend, a giving person, and a great asset to the township of Saddlebrook and to the Saddlebrook ladies of Unico. Lucy truly exemplifies Unico's motto, service above self. I would like to call forward all the members of Lucy's family that are here this evening. Please step up. Excuse me, Marion.
Come on, Eric. Let's go. Eric. See how much I'm loved? They don't even want to go forward.
You go first. That's it. I'll stay in the back. That's it. I'll let you guys.
Now, isn't this the most beautiful picture? To see Mom, Grandma here and everything she does? How about we make some introductions?
Randy.
Randy.
Nicole.
I'm Pat, her nephew.
Kathy.
My daughter.
Eric.
Francis.
Stephanie. Stacy.
Would anyone like to share any experiences here with us?
Want to say anything about your grandmother?
I don't know to say.
Do I cook here for you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Eric comes over the house every night just so he can eat with me.
Yeah.
And who's the best cook?
His mother.
Lucy, as always, this community is proud of you, and we congratulate your family along with this evening. It's very special. And when Marion said the sense of humor you have, I certainly can appreciate that, because I've been on the bus when you were judging the Halloween. I've been down setting up for the Halloween parade and sitting on haystacks and at the Christmas parties on setup. You can't go in with a gloomy day or a frown on, because all you have to do is look at Lucy and you have a smile on your face. And you know what? That one smile,
Now, wait a minute.
her heart is warmer yet.
You mean I'm so ugly, you just have to look and laugh, right?
That's it. But the heart is warmer than the smile, and thank God we have you for Saddlebrook. And this is just a very small token of our love and appreciation. It's a certificate of recognition, Township of Saddlebrook. Commendations and praise are extended to Lucy DeBono and Social Services in honor and with deep appreciation of the distinguished and unselfish service given to the community while serving with dedication, vision, ability, and most of all, the greatest love in her heart. Thank you, Lucy. And here's a rose for a rose, okay?
Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much. Lucy, this is a plaque presented to Lucy DeBono. Congratulations for achievement of Outstanding Citizen Award during Women in History Month in appreciation for your unselfish devotion to the Saddlebrook Ladies of Unico. Thank you, Marion. Thank you, everyone. I like my new shoes.
Where's Massapequa? And we are calling up another very special lady, Josephine Spitaleri.
What do you want? Oh, you want to stay in the middle or what? One in the middle?
I think so. In the middle of the other two. Children are ready.
Everybody's all over me. Phyllis was supposed to. I don't see it. The Saddlebrook Ladies of Unico wish to nominate Josephine Spitaleri as a candidate for Women in History Month. Josephine lives at 144 Foreign Avenue, Garfield. The telephone number is 973-340-4854 if anybody wants to call her. Josephine lived in Saddlebrook for over 40 years until 3 years ago due to health reasons. She moved to her daughter Lynn's house in Garfield, but she still considers Saddlebrook her home. She likes to be called Joe, so I'm going to do that. Joe's 3 children attended the Saddlebrook school system. Some of her 6 grandchildren attended the Saddlebrook school system, and now she is looking forward to her great-granddaughter attending the Saddlebrook school system. Her son Richard and his family still live in Saddlebrook. Joe has been a member of the Ladies of Unico ever since its inception 30 years ago. She is one of the founders of the organization. She has held many positions, including those of recording secretary, correspondence secretary, and scholarship chairlady, positions that require a lot of hard work and determination. She has been on numerous committees through the years, too many to list, but always giving of herself willingly and freely. Nothing was ever too much for her to undertake. For many years, Jo was always ticket chair lady for all of our fundraisers. Hard and tedious job that no one ever wanted. But you could always count on Jo to do the job efficiently. Jo has been involved with Unico's activities even before the Ladies of Unico were in existence. She championed Unico's goals when her husband was a Unico. Thus, her indoctrination to working on committees and raising funds to help the needy goes back to more than 30 years. Jo worked in the cafeterias of the Saddlebrook school system for approximately 30 years. She was affectionately known by the children as Mrs. Jo. If the children didn't have enough money to pay for lunch, she paid for it. And today, even though she has been retired for a few years, whenever these children see her in town, they will always say hello to Mrs. Joe. In addition to the Ladies of Unico, Joe is very active with the Saddlebrook Senior Club and Saddlebrook ARP. She's always helping at the senior center, doing whatever is asked of her. Joe is a true blue Unican, dedicated to its goals and ideals, always available and willing to do whatever is necessary to ensure Unico's success. Unico's motto, service above self, is Josephine Spitaleri.
Thank you, Rose.
If I may invite the family.
Come on. Come here.
This is the love of her life approaching. Her little one.
Life, that is.
Yeah, this is your great-granddaughter. And I'd like everyone to introduce themselves, please.
I'm Tracy.
Lynn.
Say Rachel.
Barbara.
And the other ones are all out.
And who is missing that's a little bashful about coming up here tonight? Won't come up?
Come on. That's her husband.
The photographer. Well, we can give someone the camera out there to get a family shot. Okay.
I'm Greg.
Anybody have anything special to say about a special person in your life here this evening?
Sunday dinners are still the best.
Sunday dinners are still the best.
Still at Graham's.
And it's true what Rose's letter stated. I've been working closely with Mrs. Joe, as everyone knows her, for many years. If it hasn't been with the Unico, it's certainly been with the Senior Center for over my 20 years with you. And I can tell you, sometimes this lady had a few medical problems, some serious, and she was really down. But she picked herself up. She was back out there doing whatever it was that she does, which is helping other people and volunteering. So she is a special person in the hearts of the Township of Saddlebrook, as she is with the family. And I thank you, Mayor, for nominating. And congratulations and God's blessings and good health. Certificate of recognition, Township of Saddlebrook, commendations and praises are extended to Josephine Spitaleri for social services. And we are very proud that her loyalty has extended, and we're honoring her with deep appreciation of her distinguished and unselfish service, giving to this community while serving with dedication, vision, and her ability to give freely of herself with her love and her heart. Thank you again. And Rose.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Here we go.
Joe.
Grandma.
Presented to Josephine Spitaleri, congratulations for achievement of Outstanding Citizen Award during Women in History Month, in appreciation for your unselfish devotion to the Saddlebrook Ladies of Unico 2002.
As a member of the main chapter, it's no longer the men's chapter because we now have women in it. Since 1966, when we first formed, and the ladies formed 5 years after us, they have been unbelievably helpful with the main chapter, as well as their own chapter and everything that they do. As a matter of fact, I believe it's April 21st, they have a canteen for the mentally handicapped and mentally and physically impaired of Bergen and Passaic County. They're always there when you need their help and their assistance. I just have to pick up the phone, and I never get a no. They're the best group in town.
Touche. Ditto. Thank you. I'd like to call up Jennifer Mansell. Ida Marie Camilleri. Congratulations, Ida.
There's Ida. I know. Okay, I would like to nominate Mrs. Ida Marie Camilleri for Women in History. I feel she is a perfect example of how far the efforts of one person can reach out to an entire community. When the unfortunate incidents of terrorism occurred on September 11th, Ida was in the forefront of bringing the school systems and various different groups together to make red, white, and blue ribbons, and she assisted in our community's actions as a whole. Ida participates in many different functions for the children at Helen I. Smith School, the PTA, and the sports programs. She is the committee chairperson of 3 separate PTA committees, and she is also quite active in obtaining donations that will better our school system and enhance the education of our children. Without having to be asked, she is always willing and able to help with different projects in any way she can. When she comes across a program that will benefit the children, she will take on that project to the fullest extent, and the end result is always successful and beneficial. As a mother of 4 young children, I'm sure her time is very limited, but she always goes above and beyond her call of duty. Although Ida never expects to be thanked or recognized, I think honoring her for Women in History would be a nice way of letting her know that her efforts do not go unnoticed and that many people appreciate her hard work and dedication.
Jennifer. Thank you. And her letter is so very true, because the day after the 9/11 tragedy, Ida came into my store and she said, "Car, what can I do? I feel I have to do something. It doesn't matter what it is, what are we doing as a community, but whatever it is, I want to do." And that is so very typical of Ida. And I said to Ida, what would you suggest? What could we? And before you know it, she suggested the ribbons. She had everybody out there working. Then as I formulated the tribute walk, Ida was part of that committee. I mean, she was coming over to Cambridge, picking up ribbons, bows, making them, putting them out there. And along with her were her children all the time. So I really commend Ida, because she includes her children. She brings them with her.
I have no choice.
And if she did, I know she'd bring them then anyway. But even her involvement with the PTA goes above and beyond the call of duty. I mean, that's what it's all about. If we're not here for our children, not here to service our community. So when I received your letter, I certainly appreciated it, because this person certainly deserves to be recognized within our township.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. And I'd like to invite your family to come forward, please. Because I see a bagpiper out in the back hallway